And so I felt like I might really be a stupid person or viewed as a stupid person if I decided to believe in the man named Jesus.
It's ChannelMom with Jenny Dean Schmidt. We're here for you.
I'm Tom Walker with American Family Insurance. If you have questions about insurance or other services we provide, I want to help. You're always welcome to contact me or simply stop by my office so we can get to know each other. Thanks for visiting and have a great day.
Call Tom at Tom Walker Agency, your American Star certified agency. Excellence in customer experience at TomWalkerInsurance.com. Today we have quite a famous guest. He wouldn't call himself that because he's a humble man. Probably my favorite Christian author, other than the people who wrote the Bible. Philip Yancey is going to be on the show today and tomorrow. If you don't immediately recognize the name, he is responsible for writing Where is God When It Hurts and The Jesus I Never Knew. You may have heard of those books and a number of others. I think with his new book now coming out, he will have written over 30 books. I want to tell you, and Shelley knows this story already, and maybe a couple people listening know this story already, why Mr. Yancey is so important to me. It's personal for me, and he's my friend. He has become my friend over the years. I think every mom, once she has children, wants to find deeper meaning. And even if she doesn't have faith in God, she just kind of yearns for something solid for herself and her children. I was somebody who grew up in a very intellectual family, and I adore my family, wonderful, wonderful people. But when I grew up with an intellectual, educated family, they did question the Bible. They questioned the claim that Jesus might really be the Son of God. They questioned that the concept of heaven. And all those kinds of things we came into question. And so I felt like I might really be a stupid person or viewed as a stupid person if I decided to believe in the man named Jesus and the stories told about him in the Bible. Now, I'll tell you that everything changed for me, and I was a little more willing to look into this once I became a mommy. I had a year and a half of postpartum depression, and it was a very difficult time for me, and I really questioned the meaning of life and why do we even get here if we all have to die, and one day my precious baby's going to have to die, and just what's it all for? I went to that place. And I'll tell you that I had an experience where I had cried out to God and I said, I don't know what to do, but I'm just going to say this sentence, Jesus, will you please save me? And I went home to my house that evening, and my husband wasn't home, and I was by myself with my little boy, Otis, who was only about 1.5 at the time, just barely speaking. And I went and laid him down on the changing table to change his diaper, and I flicked on the radio. I was not a Christian at the time. I didn't listen to Christian music, but I flicked on the radio, started to take care of my baby and change him. And as I was attempting to change him, he reached up for my head to pull me down to him and hug him. Now, he'd never done that before when I was changing him, and it's a little dangerous with a boy. But I let him hug me, and then I pulled back up, and he was insistent in wanting to hug me again. So this is all during the diaper changing process. And so I said, all right, buddy, and he let me hug him again. I let him hug me again. He did it again, and then he did it again. And about the 4th time, I remember thinking to myself, it's like he has the strength of a man. I cannot resist this. He's never done it before. I don't know why he's doing it, but it's as though he has the strength of the man and the insistence of a man. He had this powerful look in his eyes. And so I let my baby boy hold me in his arms on the changing table. And as he was holding me in his arms, I suddenly listened to the song that was on the radio. The song that was on the radio was What a Friend We Have in Jesus. And in that song, it says, I'm going to cry, in his arms, he'll take and hold you. You will find your comfort there. And in that very second, I stood up and I said, if I don't believe tomorrow, I believe today that Jesus met me through the arms of my son. And he answered my prayer that I had just prayed to please come and save me. So I want to say that was my testimony, but Philip Yancey got me through the rest of it. Because I thought, I'm not intellectual if I believe in Jesus. If I believe in all those simple stories of the Bible, I'm a simpleton, and I'm believing in fairy tales, and people will think I'm not sophisticated, and you know, they were just written by men, and all those kinds of things.
Well, how did you get in touch with him?
Well, I began to read his books.
Yeah.
And he does that. He goes to that place. Are we unsophisticated if we don't believe these things? Or that if we do believe these things? And he asks all those questions, and then he investigates them, and he talks about them, and he gets you to a new place. You can be an intellectual and still believe in Jesus. And so I just called him and said, hi, can we talk? You know?
Just out of the blue. Hi.
Yeah. Could I interview you? Even though I didn't really have a show or anything, I just said, can I interview you? He said, sure. You know, he's a bit of an introvert, so that was very gracious of him, and he met me at a coffee shop and probably talked to me for 2 hours. Just I let me pick his brain. It was fabulous. He's a huge blessing from God for me. Mr. Yancey, Philip Yancey, the best-selling author of I think more than 30 books now, sought-after
Decades.
speaker. Yeah, exactly. He's a sought-after speaker, a minister of sorts to people in pain. He was elected to that position. I'm not sure he wanted to be. Mr. Yancey has a new release coming out in the next couple of days, I'm excited to say. He'll tell us exactly when he thinks it might happen. But The Question That Never Goes Away is his new book. But his other books, as I said, include Where is God When It Hurts, The Jesus I Never Knew, Disappointment with God, Reaching for the Invisible God, and What Good is God. You can see a theme there. He understands skeptics. He gets it. Welcome to the Channel Mom Show, Philip Yancey.
Thank you so much, Jenny.
I'm so glad to have you on.
And I was hoping today would be the actual day this electronic book is released. Unfortunately, things don't always work out that way, so it's probably going to be sometime next week. Again, it's ebook only, and it's a book called The Question That Never Goes Away, which comes right off of the book you mentioned, Where is God When It Hurts?
Yes, it does. Actually, let's just be honest, Philip. It's a theme of a number of your books. You really battle on behalf of all of us the question of why do bad things happen if we have a good God? I mean, is that not true?
Well, it is true. Some people won't even give Christianity a chance because of that, and others feel wounded, betrayed, disappointed by God when bad things happen. I happen to be invited, in this case, to a lot of places to speak on that topic. And as I sat down and looked over my year, 2012, I was in 3 places of great pain. One was Japan for the 1-year anniversary of the tsunami that killed 20,000 people.
Yeah.
One was Sarajevo, which was a besieged city in the middle of the war in the former Yugoslavia that killed 10,000 people. And then one much smaller in scale, but truly more horrible, and that was Newtown, Connecticut, in December. So I thought back over that year. Each place I was asked to speak on, Where is God When It Hurts? In each place I learned some new things from the people who were going through great pain. In one case, natural disaster. In another case, human brutality in the war. In another case, this disturbed young man killing innocent school children. And it truly is the question that never goes away. And I decided it's time for another book about that.
You have become a minister of sorts to people in pain. That's sort of unfolded for you. You've gone to the Virginia Tech situation after the fact, and to Newtown, Connecticut, and to the other places you mentioned, because people want you to answer that question. Why is this happening to us if we have a good God? Can you expand a little bit about what you're going to say in your book so people will have a great reason to go pick it up?
I found it interesting when Newtown happened, or, for example, September 11, suddenly the New York Times and media places like that discover priests and bishops and believing Christians and ask them to comment on the op-ed page. They don't ask atheists, the new atheists who are getting a lot of press and are often in the pages of the New York Times. They really don't have a lot to say at a time of trauma like that. I mean, frankly, if you do believe that the world is just a cosmic accident, that we are a cosmic accident, and when we die, it's all over, just a little blip on the horizon, if you stood up before these grieving parents and said, well, what do you expect? This world is just it's a survival of the fittest, dog-eat-dog world. Mm-hmm. We Christians have a different message. It's not a denial message. We get sick. We die, just like everybody else. But we have a couple of things, we can contribute a couple of things at a time of trauma like that. First, of course, is hope. I could stand in front of the parents in Newtown and say, you will see your children again. Mm-hmm. We have that promise. Jesus said, I'm going to prepare a place for you. Mm-hmm. That's a message of hope that means so much to these grieving parents. Mm-hmm. We have not only that, we have a message that God can take even the bad things and redeem them. That's a word that the Bible uses. Maybe a better word often used today is recycle. God can take bad things, the trash, the junk, the manure of life, and somehow make something good out of it. That's a promise that we have. And we also have a community. In each of these places, I found that the church could surround the people who are in pain. Even in Japan, where there aren't very many Christians at all, I met a community of people from Samaritan's Purse and other organizations, Habitat for Humanity. They came from all over the world, and they are devoting themselves to build houses for people they've never met, just
Yeah.
because they believe that's what we should do as Christians.